So we're ready to go. So I'd like to welcome to the stage our first speaker today. This is Cyber Queen Meg, otherwise known as Megan Howe. Megan is a passionate, rising cybersecurity professional. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. She's going to be speaking on building the cybersecurity workforce pipeline, how to recruit and educate the next generation of cyber warriors. Megan Howe is a passionate, rising security professional who's interested in programming, cybersecurity, and web development. Megan is attending Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona to earn a Bachelor's of Science in Cybersecurity. Megan is currently a threat analysis intern for the Arizona Cyber Threat Response Alliance, as well as a customer success intern at a cybersecurity startup called Trusona. Megan works as a freelance bug bounty hunter. Wow, that's kind of interesting. And is particularly focused on hunting for web security vulnerabilities. Megan also contributes to open source projects on GitHub. Previously, Megan has worked as a cybersecurity intern for the Paradise Valley Unified School District and for the Arizona State University. And I might add that she is an excellent violinist. Megan is a nationally recognized cybersecurity scholar and has earned industry recognition and certifications through GIAC, ETA, TestOut, and Microsoft. Megan is a 2021 National Cybersecurity Scholar, 2021 NCWIT or National Honorable Mention, and two-time state champion in the Skills USA's cybersecurity competition. As a female student in cybersecurity, Megan also shares her perspective on cybersecurity and women in technology with audiences worldwide. So welcome Megan to the stage. Take it away, Megan.
All right, I got to figure out how to grab this thing. There we go. Thanks for the warm welcome, X-Ray, and thank you all for having me today. So as X-Ray mentioned, I'm going to be speaking on building the cybersecurity workforce pipeline to recruit and educate the next generation of warriors. Next slide, please. So who am I? A photo is worth 1,000 words. I have different pictures up here to kind of illustrate who I am. I'm a dog lover, a recent high school graduate, a violinist, a public speaker, cybersecurity enthusiast, a conference attender, but most importantly, just a normal teenager who does normal teenager things. I don't just do cybersecurity all the time. I also like to have fun with friends and family and hang out with my dogs that you can see pictured. So next slide, please. So in the cybersecurity industry, we have a problem. There's too much demand for incoming cybersecurity professionals and not enough skilled or interested people that even want to go into cybersecurity, partially because a lot of people don't even know that the field exists, especially children. And this leads to also our education problem is that very few K-12 schools teach practical cybersecurity content. And most colleges don't have a cybersecurity degree program or a minor. And even if they do, most of the time it's based on, the business side of cybersecurity, not the technical side. Next slide, please. And so before I go into my next slide, I have a little disclaimer is that I don't know everything. I just am a recent high school graduate. I don't have years of work experience like many of you have. And this isn't the end-all for cybersecurity. It's a potential framework for solving the workforce gap and getting more youth interested in cybersecurity that I hope that some of you can find parts of this useful. And I'm going to be going over this framework here today in my presentation. So at the center of everything is community. 9 C's of cyber has to start with community, and then we build to concrete experience, clubs, coursework, competitions, certifications, conferences, career shadowing, and college. So each of these points has different things that we as cybersecurity practitioners or as business owners or as concerned community members can do to help boost the cybersecurity workforce and boost interest in the field. Next slide, please. Community. Next slide. So before anyone is going to be interested in learning cybersecurity, but especially young people, we have to create environments that are welcoming, safe, fun, exciting, and supportive. People have to feel safe enough in these environments to learn, grow, try new things, not necessarily be good at those new things, fall down, get back up again, and have the support to pursue their passions, whether it's cybersecurity or not. But in order to find a passion, we have to have safe spaces for people to be able to explore those passions. Next slide, please. Mentoring is another key component of getting youth interested into cybersecurity and getting them integrated into a community, because mentoring youth allows them to learn from you and learn about the workforce and what your job is and all the cool things you do in your job. You're also a resource for them. You can connect them to your network or possibly provide them with an internship at your company or help them with a resume or a cover letter or a job interview. But us adults, will also be learning from the people that we mentor, because they can teach us so much about how to support the next generation and how that all works together and how we can best support them and other people like them. And so mentoring is definitely a two-way street. Next slide. Community gatherings, just like this one, are also important, because when youth are permitted and encouraged to attend meetups, capture the flags, and conferences, they can meet people, do all sorts of cool activities like logging or a capture the flag competition where they learn about hacking and meet people, get some cool swag. We all love swag. And form connections and bonds and spark their interest in cybersecurity. Get them really engaged and wanting more. Next slide, please. Clubs. Next slide. So after school extracurriculars are a really good first step to introduce youth to cybersecurity. And I'm kind of going to go through a logical progression of first steps to more advanced steps throughout this presentation, which is why I have it ordered the way I do. So the first way I was introduced to computer science first, and then cybersecurity through after school extracurriculars. I was a member of Girls Who Code in middle school, 7th or 8th grade, about the beginning of my teenage years, for those of you not in the US. And I learned how to code for the first time in a safe and supportive environment. But clubs can be more than just coding. There's a person in, I believe, Minnesota who has a Linux club, and he teaches middle schoolers how to use Linux, and they do all sorts of open source community projects and even distribute computers to kids in their classrooms that need them. It's really cool. Coding clubs are also cool. Hacking clubs could be super fun for high schoolers, but not just school. We need to have more than just school. We also need to have community programs. So it's crucial that we have our girls and boys clubs, our big brothers and sisters, all of these community programs that exist all around the world, supporting and encouraging the growth of cybersecurity skills, offering a workshop, or like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts offer cybersecurity badges that are pictured on this slide right here. And when libraries and community centers and all sorts of places in the community put together these programs for kids, they might get exposed to it, and before they might have not. And same with adults. And if we have people that are willing to support and sponsor these types of programs and expose not just older kids, but kids of all ages to the fun of cybersecurity, I believe that we can start getting people interested in cybersecurity, because honestly, half of the problem is people just know cybersecurity. So we have to first by fixing that. Next slide, please. Volunteering is also super important. It allows youth and adults to give back to the community, but also allows us to reach youth that maybe we wouldn't reach through an after-school club or a community program. So I think a really good step for this would be setting up programs to provide cybersecurity services for small businesses, charities, or houses of worship like your local church or temple or whatever house of worship you attend, because then you can pull in youth and other people to help run these services and get that benefit as a small business, charity, or house of worship, but also maybe get some people interested in cybersecurity that may not have been exposed to it if it weren't for these programs. And another cool program that's run is a program called Tech Caregivers. It's run by the Air Force Association's Cyber Patriot. And it's all about educating older people, people new to technology, on digital safety. So they have a free certification that people can take. It's aimed towards youth, but adults can become certified in this too. And it's all about helping to educate older people who aren't as familiar with technology on how to be in a way that they can understand. So that could also help recruit some more youth into cybersecurity. Say if a school were to set this up as a community service project and kids would be like, hey, this is kind of neat. These are all the kind of different things that go on, and this is how people fall for it. I want to be able to help stop that. So that's another really neat program that exists. Next slide, please. Competitions. Next slide. So capture the flags. I'm sure most everyone on this call, at least in the VR space, has probably played many a capture the flag at DefCon over the years. But for those unfamiliar, they're hacking competitions where you get points and rewards for finding virtual flags or solutions to a problem task to solve. And these competitions can help teach anyone about cryptography, web hacking, networking, how Linux works, how Windows works, how you hack a mobile application, how you hack artificial intelligence, all sorts of neat computer stuff. And by integrating these competitions into classrooms or community events or clubs, we can get youth interested in cybersecurity by giving them a creative and competitive outlet to explore in. It gives them this amazing opportunity to just try to solve a problem, and once they get a rush of involved. That's also a really great motivator for youth. But yeah, capture the flags are really great for getting young people in because of the competitive nature of the activity. Next slide, please. CyberStart America is a specific capture the flag that I've participated in. It starts out with this gamified experience where you can learn all about all sorts of different cybersecurity missions. If you say, you can learn about networking, you can learn how to use Linux, you can learn how to exploit an SQL vulnerability in database. It covers almost everything. And then the highest scorers in this game, that lasts about 6 months, get invited to this 48-hour competition. It's a capture the flag, runs for 48 hours straight, and it covers web exploitation, binary exploitation, forensics, networking, and a bunch of other different challenges. And I did this in spring of 2021 and placed among the highest in the capture the flag. And I won a GIAC certification attempt and a college scholarship through it. So I earned my GFACT, GIAC Foundational Cybersecurity Technologies certification through this completely free program. And so it was a really great opportunity to learn not just about cybersecurity, but also the fundamentals that you need to know to be good at cybersecurity, such as networking or Linux or programming. slide, please. Cyber Patriot, I briefly mentioned earlier, knowing I was going to come to this slide here, but it's the nation's largest youth cyber defense competition. So it's not about hacking, it's about how do I secure endpoints. So Windows machines, Ubuntu machines, and Windows servers. So it's a team competition. You work in teams of 5 and focus on fixing security vulnerabilities on virtual machines in Windows Desktop, Windows Server, and Ubuntu, but also creating secure networks in Packet Tracer, which is a Cisco program that allows you to model how networks run, and also taking a networking challenge. And so this program there is a special branch for high schoolers in the ROTC program, but I competed as part of another program that I was in, which I will get to later, as just a civilian competitor. And there's a high school program and a middle school program. You can do these in person or virtually, and there's no skill requirements to join, and students learn so much through these programs from their coaches and mentors who are both just adults who are interested in cybersecurity and want to help kids learn. So my teams and I placed gold 2 years in a row, 2019 and 2020. It's a really fun experience. It's long Saturdays of 6 hours straight of competition, but it's so fun. I learned so much through it. I got my first exposure to Linux through it. It was really, really an amazing program. Next slide, please. So Skills USA isn't just a cybersecurity organization. It's a what they call a career technical student organization, where students taking what they call career and technical education classes, or basically classes that teach you things that you can use in the workforce, like woodworking or programming or cybersecurity. And so they have a competition for cybersecurity students, and it's a 2-day, 8 hours per day, at least nationally, competition where there's 10 steps, and you have to secure networks, you have to secure firewalls, you have to secure Windows computers, you have to perform a penetration test on a network, you have to do some digital forensics, and you just have to really exhibit that you know all sorts of things about networking and cybersecurity through this competition. And so I've competed in it for 2 years. It's a partner competition, and have done well both years and have learned so much from it both years. But the other thing about Skills USA, which is a program you have to run through a school, so it's a program that a teacher would start, but you learn about workplace soft skills. So how do you be professional? How do you apply for a job or write a resume or do an interview? So it integrates all of these other skills in, along with allowing to get experience in the cybersecurity realm. Next slide, please. So Trace Labs, those of you in person at DefCon or just following all of the Twitter buzz about DefCon have probably seen some stuff about Trace Labs in the past week, because they're having their quarterly Capture the Flag competition today. And it's an open source competition where competitors and judges kind of team up to help find open source intelligence about the whereabouts on missing persons. And so competitors, whether individually or in teams, work together. They have a list of about 4 to 6 missing people and a little bit of starter information, and they're given 4 to 6 hours to go find as much information about their whereabouts, their contact information, who they're associated with, and where they may be located. Then the judges screen these results and flag ones that could be helpful for law enforcement to submit as tips to help find these people and reunite them with their families. So I have judged 2 times now for Trace Labs. I won't be judging today as I'm speaking with you all, because it starts opportunity, and judges and contestants have the opportunity to go through open source intelligence training. And it's a really great hands-on way to learn about this specific niche of cybersecurity. So I highly recommend getting involved with Trace Labs, even if you aren't a student, because it does amazing things for the community. Next slide, please. Coursework. Next slide. Thank you. So one thing I found is that in high school, not many high schools have cybersecurity specific coursework. So I was lucky enough in that I got to go to a high school with a computer science program, but I never had to take a cybersecurity course. It wasn't even an option for me to take. And my instructors did an amazing job of integrating cybersecurity into the curriculum, but I think it would be insanely helpful to integrate cybersecurity and the technical aspects of cybersecurity, not just digital citizenship, into our high school. So a program I've used a lot for other computer classes is called Test Out. It's a certification company that has online virtual labs, and I have taken and passed 3 of their certifications. They have one called PC Pro, which is all about building PCs and Windows operating systems. It basically prepares you for the CompTIA A+ exam. I've taken their Network Pro, which is all about computer networking. It prepares you for CompTIA's Network Plus. And I've taken their Routing and Switching Pro, which prepares you for the CCNA certification by Cisco. And so they provide it's an online sandbox for students to learn, and they offer several cybersecurity courses. And so I think integrating this into a high school elective class would be a safe way for the school district, also a super beneficial way for youth interested in computers to learn about cybersecurity. Really great that I'll talk about more in depth later is called Try Hack Me. It's an online sandbox that allows you to essentially just do these challenges that teach you not just about hacking, but defensive security, forensics, how to set up firewalls, and yes, web hacking and mobile hacking, and more of the technical hands-on aspects of cybersecurity. And another really great way to integrate this is through a secured and isolated lab environment that students have control of. They get to decide what goes in it, they get to decide how it's set up, and they get to implement skills from a networking course or a program course or PC course on how to best set this up. And they also get to integrate skills on how best to secure that network and try to bypass those defenses. Next slide, please. Outside courses are also really great for people already kind of itching with the cybersecurity bug. I don't know any teenagers that are going to be like, I want to go take a random course on cybersecurity. I've never heard of it. There has to be some sort of fun, cool exposure to it before you get to this point. But once youth are interested in something, what I found is they'll do a lot to explore that. And so there's several resources where you can take outside courses, and this is not an all-inclusive list by any means, but edX and Coursera have a lot of really general cybersecurity courses, which is good for someone kind of just starting out and like, hey, I want to see if this is something I'm even interested in. Do I want to take a class at my high school on this? I don't know if I want to commit to that elective block yet. I just want to see. And TCM Security and Udemy have more specialized courses on, okay, this is how you run a penetration test. This is how you code malicious scripts in Python. All sorts of niche skills that professionals and students alike are trying to learn through these platforms. Next slide, please. Concrete experience. Next slide. Thanks. So I promised I'd talk about Try Hack Me, and the time has come for that. So Try Hack Me is unique in that it is a freemium program. It has a free tier that really has a lot of features, but also a paid tier that allows you to access more modules that are available in the free tier. And that tier, I believe, is only like $10 or $15 a month. So it doesn't require a lot of financial commitment. And you can also gift this to people. And it's a really great way for people who don't know how to hack to learn how to hack. They have Kali Linux and Parrot security boxes up in the cloud that you can use to hack stuff on their website. It's all set up. There's a whole virtual private network connected into it. It's a really neat program. And then there's Hackbox, which is for, I found, once you have some of those basic hacking skills and you want to practice taking over a machine and using techniques that you've already learned, they're basically vulnerable machines that you have to try different techniques to own or take over the machine and hack it to make it yours. And so these programs can be really great for helping youth and adults alike get the hands-on experience that they need to be successful in cybersecurity. Next slide, please. Thank you. Secure hacking environments are also really neat. There are many cyber ranges here in the United States where they have several machines, kind of like Hack the Box, but you can kind of just do whatever you want on them because they're isolated. And you can try a bunch of different techniques and try to, hey, I tried this, but I want to see if this will also work. And there's also, I believe, some isolated online servers, kind of like there's the Damn Vulnerable web application that you can download locally. And there's one by Google, it's cheese themed, where it's intentionally vulnerable and your goal is to try to hack it and just play around and find all these cool vulnerabilities. Next slide, please. Home labs are definitely for more advanced users. I am still in the process of setting up mine. It's a long process, but once you get it set up, I believe it's totally worth it because it's about creating a model production environment where you can hack your own stuff, practice setting up firewalls, and practice bypassing that firewall. Or have a bug bounty machine and set up a web server that you can try to hack stuff through. And you're not just learning about hacking here, you're learning about vulnerabilities, Windows, Linux, virtualization, blue teaming or defense mechanisms, red teaming or attack mechanisms, networking. How do all these corporate networks work? How do you set up Linux? What makes Debian different from Fedora Linux? It's the way you install applications. Really, if you want to learn about something with computers, a home lab is a really amazing way to do that. It just requires a lot of time on Google and a lot of experience, but it's something that I think we need to promote more to people interested in cybersecurity because it's really easy to set up in just some virtual machines. It can be as big or as small as your computer can manage. Next slide, please. So bug bounties. After I mentioned that I am a freelance bug bounty hunter, what I forgot to put in that bio is I'm also a freelance AI bias bounty hunter. There was a program that Twitter did last summer where they had their AI cropping algorithm, and researchers tried to find biases in that program. And so that was a program on something called HackerOne, which is a really nice program for beginners because they have so many things you can hack. And also you can get invited to private programs really easily. BugCrowd is also nice. Any of these programs on this screen, hunter.dev is for open source vulnerabilities, but basically bug bountying, there's the incentive of getting paid for finding a bug in a company, legally hacking them, and then getting money for it and learning all about cybersecurity in the process. And it's just an amazing process. It's very, very frustrating at times. But once you get the hang of, and I to get the hang of hacking an actual production environment, it's a really great way for older youth to explore their skills and do things ethically, not just go like, I want to go down Twitter today, but like, hey, there's a company that, invited me to their private program, and I'm going to see if I can find SQL injection vulnerability on their website and report it to them. So I think bug bounty is really neat, especially for older teenagers or college students looking to make money, all that kind of stuff. Next slide, please. So X-Ray also mentioned I have contributed to open source software, and I think this is really good for the next generation to do, because not only does it teach them how to program and how GitHub and source code. I apologize. Am I still? Sorry, my KP decided to freak out for a moment.
Your audio is very, very quiet now.
Microphone is not active.
All right, let me try.
You need to pick up the microphone.
All right, I will. There, how about now? Better?
Nope, still the same.
Megan, you need to pick up one of the microphones. That'll give you a megaphone, and then everybody will be able to hear you.
I thought I had one of the microphones.
You accidentally must have dropped it, because I could see them both on the podium there.
Hang on, it's on my hand. How about now?
There you go.
All right, perfect. Thanks for that help, X-Ray. Anyways, open source software. It's really good for youth to explore and learn about programming, but also find vulnerabilities in this project and help to patch them. These maintainers who are working so hard on all these projects that fuel our internet, and they may miss something, and it's really a community of security researchers in OSS helping to kind of stand for this and fix it. And I think it's a really good place for youth to serve in this field. So I created 2 open source projects. InfoSec Linux was a senior test, and I did all about making it a lot easier to build a home lab, and also a Log4j scanner in December of 2021. I've contributed to the Beef project, which is a web application testing app. I've contributed to Black Arch Linux. Yes, I use Arch Linux. I love it. And RaspAP, which is a access point that you can put on a Raspberry Pi. So, it's a very supportive community of programmers and security enthusiasts and just other people. And there's also bug bounty you can do for open source on a site called hunter.dev. So that's also a good resource to look into when you're talking to youth about getting into cybersecurity and free ways to do it. Next slide, please. Certifications. Next slide. So, cybersecurity certifications are a really great way to tangibly show what someone knows about the field. Because you can pass a test or finish 11 online labs successfully, you clearly know something about that subject. And it's a really great way for schools to show off their student knowledge, but also as a resource for students learning individually on their own, or or community centers or libraries to offer sessions for. And so I've earned certifications that test a number of formats. ATA, GIA, MTA all kind of test in a multiple choice format. I'm going to be taking Security Plus here in the next couple of weeks. That's a mix of multiple choice and free response, but kind of like drag and drops or maps. And then there's test out certifications, which are 100% hands-on. And they're insanely hard to pass, but it's also insanely rewarding once you do. So if a student isn't a great taker, but they're really good at doing hands-on activities, maybe test out certifications in order for them to show off their knowledge. But if they're a really good test taker, maybe they should take something like the ETA ITS certification or the CompTIA Security Plus. Next slide, please. Ready for the next slide whenever the center. There we go. Conferences. Next slide, please. So, why are conferences like this, like DefCon, so important to expose youth who are getting interested in cybersecurity to? Because they can learn new things, do all sorts of fun workshops like lock picking or capture the flag or a Trace Labs capture the flag or all car hacking. I believe there's an aviation village at DefCon this year. I'm not in Vegas, so I'm seeing everything that's going on, and it all looks really cool. And you can learn about all these neat areas of cybersecurity, but also network professionals and hobbyists and enthusiasts like everyone here. But students can also learn about professionalism, how to be a good professional, how to act in a professional manner. Also, if once they gain some knowledge, practice some public speaking and get their public speaking skills up to par and be really good and well at it. And conferences are just a great way to explore both the soft skills that are needed to succeed in cybersecurity, but also learn new skills and teach others about skills that you already have. Next slide, please. Career shadowing. Next slide. Awesome. So, the program I was in when I was in high school, it's called Paradise Valley Women in Information Technology, or I will call it PVWIT for short because that whole long phrase is very long. So it's an internship where young women around my school district came together to learn about different tech such as artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and cybersecurity. And to learn about these fields, we did hands-on projects, presentations to district leadership and other IT leaders around our state. And we got mentored by our district's IT director, and we had guest speakers come in. We had an ethical hacker come in once, and it was a really great program. And if you are in setting up a program similar to this, it doesn't even have to be in a school district. It doesn't have to be exclusively for women. It could be for anyone that is interested. A library or a community center could set something up like this that meets during the summer. It could be part of a summer camp held somewhere where youth just come together and learn things collaboratively in a safe environment and do projects and present their work and get mentored by industry professionals. Next slide, please. So I've done a number of security internships, and just to note, this is not an all-inclusive list of what security internships are like. These are just the few I've done and what my experience were like. These can be very different or similar or anything like that. During the fall of 2020 and spring 2021, I worked at Arizona State University as an information security intern with one of my very good friends. And we worked there for 9 months, helping to improve their security review process. So when an administrator or professor wanted to add an application that can be used, they had to go through this process first. and that was a really wonderful internship. And at one point, we were learning about incident response. This was in December 2020 when SolarWinds hit, and that was like one of the biggest pitches of all time. And Chloe and I, my fellow intern, were kind of thrown into the mix of this big, giant catastrophe. And this is where I saw everything going on, and I saw all of the people rushing to help and trying to solve these problems. And I said, this is what I do with the rest of the world. I want to help cybersecurity. I want to help prevent these breaches. I want to help move our society forward and be safer and more secure for everyone to live in. And so that ASU internship for me was really instrumental and awesome for me on that. And then after that, I worked at my school district called PV Schools for a cybersecurity internship. Helped manage switches. I helped wipe old computers. I worked on several data governance initiatives. I did some customer service, and I also helped get ready for a cybersecurity audit. Next slide, please. After I finished with PV Schools, I went to Trustona, and my last day there was actually Monday. But when I was there, I was a customer success intern for a cybersecurity startup getting the password in favor of biometric authentication. I was a member of the team, and I helped provide a perspective of a younger person or a teenager, because let's face it, a lot of teenagers are not very good with cybersecurity. I helped make videos and documentation on how our project integrates with the customers of Trustona. That was a really wonderful experience. I met a lot of awesome people there, and I was just so blessed to have that opportunity. And I, through the Phoenix Chamber of Commerce, I did an externship. It was a 2-week experience where we learned from cybersecurity professionals, practiced networking and interviewing skills, and also created a project with the team and presented that. And most recently, I've been a threat intelligence intern for the Arizona Cyber Threat Response Alliance. I'm a member of the first student group to go through this training. I've learned about cybersecurity and threat intelligence and networked with students and professionals in industry. And created a capstone project, and the 3 other students and I will be the founding members of a university threat intelligence club that focuses on open source intelligence as a result. Next slide. Also, college. Next slide. Cybersecurity degrees are very important in my opinion, because if you don't gain the knowledge in an educational setting or just anywhere to be a practitioner, how are we going to find people with the technical skills to hire? And what I found from many universities when I was college hunting was they either didn't have a cybersecurity degree, only had a cybersecurity minor, or had what they called the cybersecurity degree, which focused on auditing, which is hopeful, but our shortage is mainly in the technical gap right now. I have some statistics on that I can share later on if anyone's interested in that. So I found it's important that we have a technical cybersecurity degree. And there's a couple of schools that I found that have really good technical programs, one of which is Grand Canyon University. That's where I will be attending fall in Phoenix, Arizona. Another one is Dakota State University in South Dakota. Both of these have really good technical programs. And how do we implement? Well, we need to implement classes that teach forensics or teach ethical hacking and do all of this in the college space so that college graduates, once they're out of college, they can take a job the day they graduate and be extremely successful. Next slide, please. And another thing that's important is requiring security coursework in computer science majors. It shocked me when I learned that 3 of the top 10 computer science programs in the United States don't even offer a cybersecurity class. It's not even an option for people to take. And I believe there's only a few, I believe it's 3 of the top 36 degrees require a cybersecurity course to graduate. Meaning that a vast majority of computer science students, they don't get any cybersecurity training in college. And so they're entering the workforce and making all these programs. They don't know how to do it securely. It's just an afterthought. So how do we do this? I think there's 2 ways. I think we can set up a general cybersecurity course in university that students have to take to graduate in computer programs. And I think we possibly also add a secure coding course that students can learn how to be secure when they're programming and how to build programs that are secure so that we don't have these problems in as many of these problems in the future. So next slide, please. So what are the takeaways from this? Obviously, go back to takeaways. Thanks. Thank you. So what are the takeaways from this? Essentially, we're not going to be able to do everything I've talked about. And that's okay, because every little effort makes a huge difference. So it is a reminder that this is just a framework. It's a possible solution. I may have some really bad ideas on here, and there are probably some really good ideas that I left out and I didn't know existed. This is based on my very limited 18 years of experience in life and how I see the world, and I'm sure there are other really amazing resources and ways to solve our workforce gap and get youth interested in cybersecurity that I did not mention, and for that I'm sorry. But I'm sure that if we all work together, we can find the best solution for this problem. I am around to speak to anyone that has questions or just wants some ideas. I can also refer some other people that I know that are also really good and better than me at recruiting youth into cybersecurity. And so now, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you so much for coming to my presentation. Do we have any questions? And contact information you can find on my questions. Thanks for the claps.
Great talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, just more of a comment. I'm really impressed with your experience at specifically that age. That's
Thank you so much.
there's a lot of experience there. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Agreed.
And I'll be hanging around the VR space. If you have any questions, if you're on Twitch and you have questions, you can find my email in my link tree. You can email me. I'm also on Twitter. You can message me there. You can message me on LinkedIn. Just send me a connection request. And relatively soon, I'll probably accept it. I don't request from no, but here I'll tackle the questions you have. Thank you all for your time, and I appreciate y'all being here.
Thank you, Meg, Cyber Queen Meg, for excellent presentation. There's a lot of useful information in there. I will probably contact you later to talk about some of this stuff because I'm interested in the same topic. Everybody hang out. In about another 6 minutes, we'll have our next speaker. So take a break, take a bio break, that sort of thing, and we'll see you back here in about 6 minutes.